Hello everybody and welcome back. As you may have seen if you've looked at any of the old videos here on the channel, you can see that I was originally a Halo YouTuber before moving over here to Apex Legends. So throughout the course of today's video I will be doing both Apex and Halo gameplay for you. Although please do excuse the Halo gameplay, I have had a 3-year hiatus from any of the Halo games, so if I'm terrible in all of the gameplay that you're watching right now, I'm just throwing it out there as that's the reason why. But yeah, anyway, you're here to find out what I think Apex Legends can learn from Halo, because Halo is the game that got me into first-person shooters. It's the game I love above all else. Controversially, it was Halo 4 actually that got me into them, and I love Halo 4 because of the memories that it gave me. I objectively know that there are other better Halo games, but I adore Halo 4. And I love Halo 2, I love Halo 3, Combat Evolved. I've played all of them. I love all of them equally, and I think that there's a lot that we could take from Halo that's really good and put into Apex Legends that wouldn't, feel like copying, that would still really just enhance the game, but not sort of to the detriment of what makes Halo unique, because Halo's unique for a variety of reasons. It's a very fast game. It has very iconic weapons, so there's not specific guns that I would bring across from Halo. It's more going to be modes and types and things. There's a couple of weapon-based things, but these are more going to be other surrounding features, because Halo's core gameplay is so specific and so unique. I wouldn't want to sort of touch on that, because they're two completely different games in that aspect. But here are the things that I think Apex Legends could learn from Halo. Firstly, I think we need a theatre mode to the level of Halo. Halo has always had a really strong theatre mode. Halo 5 was very glitchy, and I used it for a lot of the gameplay you've seen on the channel, so occasionally some of the gameplay can look a little weird, but overall theatre's been really strong. And even though Halo 5's theatre struggled at times, you could get really cool camera angles and such, so it wasn't all bad even when it was at its weakest. And I think Apex Legends needs something like it, because there's a really big community of people in Apex making really creative videos around the Legends and that aren't specifically focused on the gameplay. And when they're trying to get reverse shots on characters and things, it's not very easy to do, because you have to sort of orchestrate these fake situations that sort of mirror the real one you had. And it's not that it sort of detracts from the story. In one respect, you could say it's making the creative challenge that bit harder and more rewarding when you do it right. But I think a really good theatre mode would encourage so much good stuff. It could encourage people to use it to make more videos. I think more videos would come from it, because the amount of times I've had a really good game that I wasn't recording, because I'm not at the capacity to stream yet. I'm currently building a PC to be able to do that, hopefully, but I'm not streaming yet, and I know a lot of people don't have setups to record every single game they play. And if you have a really good game, on the Xbox I can record the last 5 minutes, or maybe if you have a good game but you want to analyze a certain moment from it, you can go back into theatre and review it, and you can review it from different angles. You can have the camera wander. You can also do story mode stuff. Obviously, if you remember back to Halo Machinima days, people created narratives out of these things, and just using theatre mode, they had no other way of doing this without the theatre mode. And with the quests coming in Apex Legends, can you imagine if the community was spinning off stories from the quests, or actually recreating the the dialogue bits that come in the quests? Can you imagine people recreating those in the theatre mode with voice lines? That'd be so cool. Apex Legends needs theatre, I think. I think it should be actually quite a high priority. Maybe I'm just saying that from a Halo fan's perspective, who has always had the option to use theatre and is now not using that option. So if it could come into the game, that would be incredible. This is just my opinions. I'd love to actually know what yours are in the comments, so please do let me know what you think if you've played Halo and have transitioned over to Apex. I know there have been a few big people in the community like Snipe Down, who I remember for the long time back in the Halo days being such a top level player. Seeing him in Apex is really awesome for me. Next thing that I think should transition from Halo to Apex is custom games. I think the custom games in Halo were so fun. They were a massive community, and people have wanted this for quite some time. Apex's casual mode, when you're not in ranked can sometimes still feel a bit like ranked, because, you know, there are some really good players that get thrown into your game, and then you can end up still having quite a really frantic experience in games where you maybe just want to relax. And I think custom games could allow you to do that, give people the options to use the maps, give them options to have care package drops, you know, maybe customize their own loot pool. And like how in Halo they have in custom games different options for maps. I know that in one of the Halo games you could set it to Covenant weapons only, so all the weapon spawns would be Covenant weapons, you wouldn't get any UNSC ones on the ground, and that was really cool actually. So I think it is possible, definitely possible, and if Apex could do it, it would be great, because people could do Slayer variants, they could do smaller scale battle royales, you could maybe cut off parts of the map. So if you wanted to just play by Cage on Kings Canyon and you wanted to have a 4v4 there with no armors, you could do that, and that could be really cool. So custom games, I think, are a necessity for the game, because when, you know, content gets stale between seasons and, you know, people are looking for new content, I think if you had custom games, it would never ever get stale, because if you ever got bored, you just go over to custom games, try out a new mode, and you're back in straight away. I think it would be great for the game. Next thing is a big team battle type mode that's like Halo. So one of the staples of the old Halo games was its big team battle. One of the most important modes in Halo history, you could argue, because it not only was just a casual fun mode, but it was loved by so many groups of people. 8v8, big area to cover, and Apex's maps are big. Again, you could cordon off a part of the map, and, you know, Apex was originally thinking of having Titans in the game. Obviously, Apex being, you know, a spin-off from the Titanfall universe, and they couldn't balance it into a battle royale because, you know, if one team of 3 had a Titan, that would probably be quite overpowered. But in a big team battle environment, that could really, really work, because if, you know, a team had access to a Titan, or, you know, one team had one each, like how in big team battle in Halo you had teams who had Banshees and tanks, but it never felt overpowered because each team had access to one of them, so you'd have someone be the designated person in there, and they'd be a little bit easier to focus, but it was still really good. And I think that could really benefit the game, because, you know, it's a new style of mode again, which I think this game could do with. I think it's a great battle royale, and it is first and foremost a battle royale. But if it was going to expand out into other genres and other modes, a big team battle one would probably be the most natural transition for me. And if you had a capture the flag variant in there, that would be really awesome. And I know it's obviously quite difficult. Respawn are doing, you know, so much work from home, which has been incredible. The content that we've been getting in Apex Legends whilst they've been working from home. So I know a lot of this stuff may not be immediately possible unless they've already been planning it. But if it came to the game, I would love it tenfold. I'd play this game so much more than I already do if there was even more of this stuff. Next, one of the few things I'm going to talk about in this video to do with weaponry, and it's melee weapons. Now, in Halo, you've got the NG sword and the gravity hammer, which are really great close quarters weapons. You know, they're 1 hits in Halo. If you've got an overshield, they're 2 hits. And it's really great. You've got a lunge distance. They're really, really fun weapons to use, especially when you're going up against a shotgun player. And I think Apex could do with maybe some melee weapons. Maybe if they did about 70 damage and had a bigger lunge distance than the traditional punch, I think that could be really cool. This game doesn't have enough energy weapons. Apex does not have enough energy weapons. It's only got 2 at the moment. And can you imagine a quote-unquote energy sword, which, you know, used maybe 10 energy bullets to charge up, and you've got this really detailed animation of it beginning the charge up, and then every slash took away 10%, and then when you hit 100% and used them all, it then did this big reload as it converted 10 more energy bullets into, you know, the charge for the sword. That could be awesome. If it did about 70 damage, had a lunge distance, and you couldn't reload it between your 10 slashes, you had to use your 10 slashes and it started over again, that could be really cool, because it works actually quite similar to the Halo one, but, you know, you'd actually be using elements that are already in the game. It might put heirlooms in a bit of a weird spot, because obviously some of the characters actually have melee weapon heirlooms, but if, you know, you kept it sort of as a separate thing, you could do quite a lot with some really cool melee weapons that would maybe run as people's like secondaries, especially for someone like me who's a Revenant main and likes to get aggressive with teams. Throwing down an ultimate, having a melee weapon to charge people with would be so scary for other teams and could be a really cool new addition to the game. So I don't know if it has to be exactly like that, but I don't think Apex has got enough energy weapons at the moment with the current loot pool and how everything's working. Only 2 in the whole game at the minute, and that could be a cool way to boost that and solve that problem. Next for me is maybe having boosts around the maps. So Halo has always been known for having its speed boosts, overshield, damage boost, active camo, things that you try and get on the maps. And Apex has integrated some of those into the game already with Mirage's ultimate having sort of a camouflage element to it. So you could definitely, in care package weapon drops, put down, instead of maybe, knockdown shields or whatever, you could replace them with an overshield. So it would give, maybe for the next 40 seconds, you have an additional shield layer on top of all your other health, or maybe you had an octane level speed boost for 30 seconds, or all your weapons had a damage boost briefly. It could mean you could really plan your next move around what you pick up, and then you'd apply it, and it would apply straight away from when you pick it up, and you would only have this short window to really make it worth it. So you would have to, it wouldn't be too overpowered in that sense, because you would have to go and enact on what you've just picked up straight away. It could be a good idea. It's probably the least sure about an idea I am, because I don't know if it would work in the balancing. Maybe you could time when you wanted to start it, so you could keep it in your inventory and then press go. It would take up another inventory slot, so it wouldn't be too bad on the backpack, because in order to store one, it would take up room. And if they're going to have mobile respawn beacons in the game, there's quite a lot you're storing in your backpack. So it could actually be quite a good thing to add, because it would have a level of risk holding one. And again, it could really work with ultimate pushes. So if you've got a Revenant ult and you've got an overshield on you, imagine using your Revenant ult, going in, getting reset, and then immediately popping an overshield, which then allows you to go back into the fight with even more shields. It would just lead to even more crazy plays, and it could be a really fun addition. It could be a little bit too overpowered, so I'm a bit up in the air about that idea. I'm just throwing it out there. It was a really good thing in Halo though, and it could work transferred across to Apex. Next is the last of the guns that I'm going to be mentioning, and it's rockets and grenade launchers. I don't think Apex has really got a projectile weapon quite like the Halo rocket launchers, and I know other games have sort of got them too, but just the way those ones work are really cool, and the skill level, especially on the Halo Reach grenade launcher, if you remember that, just so much skill required to really land those shots. And all of the guns in Apex sort of, they work differently, obviously, but a lot of them work quite similarly, where they have bullet drops, but the bullet drops, even the worst one, which I think is probably like the longbow, they drop consistently. Whereas, a projectile-based weapon like a rocket launcher or a grenade launcher could be a really nice addition to the game, because it would just change up the playstyle. When you aim with grenade launchers, you're physically pointing in different directions, usually pointing at the ground. It's just a completely different style and a completely different learning curve that this game, I think, could benefit from, because it's not got it, and it means that, even though a lot of the weapons are very varied up, I think there could be more variety in the weapons in Apex, and I think melee weapons and rocket launchers would be something that would actually really change it for the better. And you can make these rockets not do insane damage, to be honest, to keep them in line with the other guns, so that they don't feel super overpowered. You need to keep them in line, or maybe make a rocket launcher care package weapon, which takes either energy ammo, again, because we need more energy guns. You could have a rocket care package you pick up that harnesses the energy power and puts it into like a big projectile, so maybe it uses more energy ammo to fire or something. I don't really know what you would do, but I think it could be a really cool idea. Similar thing with a grenade launcher, or like a plasma caster. Halo 5's plasma caster is a really cool gun, and one of my favorites from that game. And the Halo 4 sticky detonator, I'm very upset that didn't come back in Halo 5. The sticky detonator is one of my favorite Halo weapons of all time, and something so unique, really clever. You could do so many cool plays with it, in the same way that people arc star crypto drones at the minute. Imagine doing that with a sticky detonator. It would be so cool. And it would mean that there'd be more ways to use explosives than just grenades, which is kind of what we've got at the moment. We've got 3 grenade types. One is frag grenade, and that's all you've really got. So by adding these weapons, you'd have just a lot more play variety, which I think this game needs at the moment, to just, make it that more varied. Because, with teams holding down buildings quite a lot at the moment, and the characters maybe not being the way to deal with, obviously they've got the crypto changes and the revenant changes, which makes pushing buildings a lot easier now. So a crypto and revenant ultimate combo can now challenge a Wattson and a caustic. But if you've got a good Wattson and a caustic, and they've got ultimate accelerants, and they're prepared, and they're wise, and they're savvy, they're going to be able to deal with it fairly often. And one cool way to deal with this could be having, explosive guns like rockets and grenade launchers. You could do really cool plays, bouncing them off surfaces. I think it would just mean that more creative players would come to the game, which is always a good thing to me. Anytime that we're getting a new way for people to be creative, I'm all for it. But that does conclude what I think Halo can learn from, other way around actually, what Apex Legends can learn from Halo. So please do let me know if you agree with any of the points. I would love to sort of make this post more of a community-based thing to get the conversation going. So please do let me know what you think, and I would love to start a conversation about it, because I love Halo so much. I'm so excited for Halo Infinite, and I would love to know how you think Halo could influence Apex. And if you want to see the flip side of that, or vice versa, that would be incredible too. So do leave a like if you would like to see me take a look at what Halo can learn from Apex Legends, as we are round the corner from Halo Infinite. So I don't know, maybe if we could get a conversation going about that, maybe put forward some ideas, maybe, some of that stuff would be in a Halo Infinite, or maybe a game beyond in the future that we don't know about yet. So I would love to know what you think in a future episode here on the channel. Thank you all so much for listening along with me today and watching through my awful Halo gameplay. So thank you all so much for listening, and we'll tune in with you next time.